Let's talk about securing your online meetings. First question is, when are you most likely to give real attention to the security of your online meetings? And the answer is probably the day after you were in a meeting that got bombed. Now, it's very unfairly called Zoom bombing because all platforms are susceptible to some kind of bombing if the right kind of security protocols are not in place. So, in order to perhaps illustrate or create some perspective about how important security is, let's use the metaphor of your own home. Now, if you live in a low risk or a low crime area, it's probably quite unlikely that you're going to do much about securing your home. In fact, some people are known to sleep with their doors and windows wide open in summer, which is great. But if you're in a high crime area where your security is of paramount importance and there's a chance that you could get attacked, well, you want to make sure that you have layers of protection so that your home is secure and you can sleep well at night with the peace of mind that you're safe. Now, in order to do this, you're going to do several things. Firstly, you're going to secure the walls and the gates. You might even have an electric fence. As far as your house is concerned, you're going to make sure that the locks on the doors work properly, that the latches on the windows are secure. You might even have burglar bars. You could even have an alarm system. You might even have a security door between the bedroom area and the living area. You might have a security company that you pay on a monthly basis to keep an eye on you with an armed response. You might have an emergency number for the police. You might keep a gun to protect you, although that can be a little bit dicey because more people are injured or killed by the use of their own guns than are ever burglars intercepted by them. But be that as it may. So these are the kinds of things that you can do. And of course, people keep dogs. And the secret with dogs, of course, is to keep them indoors, because that way they'll alert you. These are the things that we do to secure our homes. So when it comes to an online meeting, you need to use a similar philosophy in terms of the layers of protection to make sure that you don't have inappropriate people coming in and causing mischief in your meetings, which could affect your brand and, of course, be very unpleasant for your participants. So I'm going to give you 13 tips that are going to work pretty well in terms of keeping your meetings secure. So here are the 13 steps that I'd like to share with you. Firstly, you want to have a unique meeting ID and a unique password for each meeting rather than using your standard meeting ID that comes with your package. Also have a waiting room activated, and for most platforms this is about to become compulsory anyway, that you have people coming into the waiting room and you actually let them in. That you should probably have a co-host when you're running a meeting, not only for reasons of security, but also so that you can focus on the content of the meeting, and if there are people that you're interviewing, that you can focus on them as well. Insist on registration for your meetings, because that way you know who's coming into the meeting in advance, and you can disallow people that you feel might get up to mischief or not have any reason for being there. So registrations also gives you an idea of who's going to be in your meeting. To limit sharing of screens to the host and the co-host, this gives you more control over your meeting. You might want to do the same things with annotation. Only allow the co-host and the host to annotate on your meetings. And then when people have arrived and you get the meeting started, you have an option in the security settings to actually lock the meeting. You can eject people, and that's not only people that are causing mischief, but perhaps people that are disengaged, or there's other stuff going on that you can see on their video screens. And having said that, of course, you could disable people's videos. So that also gives you another option to stay in control of your meeting. Another thing that you can do, this is point number 10, is that you can prevent file share except for your co-host. Point number 11, disable private chat. Now, this is a kind of a last resort, really, because one of the purposes of having an online meeting is that that's the way that you get people's comments, is by the private chat. But if things are going in the wrong direction, you might want to disable that temporarily or for the duration of the meeting. The very last point is you need to master the security menu. You need to know how it works and be able to react quickly if all the layers that you've put in place are breached. So it's a good idea to understand that security menu and just know how it works. Finally, I just want to mention this point to you. a lot of these settings you can set up as a default in your main settings. So when you go into your browser, into your account, you can go through all the settings. Just bear in mind that these things have been developed over years and years and years and years. These platforms have not just come about in the last 6 or 12 months. So there is a lot to learn to be able to master them. So take the time, go through, get your default settings in place. When you then go into the app to start your meeting, you can click on your own avatar and the settings will come up. You can then go through what settings you want to customize. And at the point of setting up the meeting, you're also asked things like, do you want your video on when you start? Do you want it off? Do you want your microphone on or off? So all these settings can be checked and changed. And it's important to do that because meetings have different contexts and they won't necessarily all be the same. So I hope these things have helped. All I want to stress, which to me is critically important, is don't take security lightly, because eventually when it does happen to you, you'll realize how important this advice really was. So all the best of luck to you. I hope you never do get bombed, but certainly if you put these protocols into place, you're giving yourself the best possible chance of your meetings being secure and you having the peace of mind when you start with a meeting that you can focus on the content and on your participants. All the best.